Hello my butterflies, it is I, Dr. Kathleen Nash with Total Transformation, and in this video I'm going to show you a really wacky way that you can kill any food craving in 60 seconds or less. So if you feel that you are a slave to that food that's driving the weight to go high or stopping you from getting your weight to its ideal range, then stay tuned because I'm going to spill the tea. Let's go! I don't know if you're anything like me, but I know whenever I start telling myself that I want to eat a very specific and structured way, within a couple of days, I start noticing that I have these cravings. Or if I'm in a particular situation, like gaming when I'm gaming at home, or watching TV, or right before I want to go to sleep, or especially if I'm in some kind of stressful or emotionally charged situation, it seems like the cravings come from out of nowhere. So what I'm going to do is show you a really crazy physical technique that will absolutely obliterate those cravings for you so that you don't have to give in to them. Are you ready? Say, I'm ready. The name of the technique is called Emotional Freedom Technique, or EFT for short. And I stumbled on it a few years ago when I personally would struggle with cravings that I couldn't seem to overcome. So let's first talk about why we get these cravings in the first place and why we tend to more likely than not give in to them, or we can resist them for a little while but ultimately give up to them in the end. And that's because of the dopamine response that we get from the food that we're craving. You see, when that craving first hits you, your brain actually starts to become stimulated by dopamine. And dopamine is that neurological agent that makes you feel good. It's a neurotransmitter that stimulates your brain. And there's cool research that's showing that the actual anticipation of having whatever it is you're craving for is stronger and more rewarding and pleasurable than when you actually cave in and have the item that you've been craving. So what does that mean? It means that the anticipation of the food or the chocolate or the cake or the chips or the soda or whatever is the most stimulating and rewarding part of the whole craving process when it comes to your brain. On the one hand, you have the item that you're craving right now, and it's going to give you an instant pleasurable reward. On the other hand, you have the long-term goal that technically is more rewarding, but it's in the future and inside your mind may or may not happen. So for example, if I said, I can give you $5 now, or I can give you $5,000 30 days from now, maybe, you might actually pick the $5 now reward because even though the other one is bigger and more pleasurable, it's in the future and it's hazy, it's not concrete. And it's for this particular reason that we tend to give in to our cravings. Whatever it is that we're craving right now is an instant pleasure versus the goal that we have that is a long-term pleasure that may or may not happen. So the trick is to nullify the instant pleasure that you get from having the craving so that you can remember and focus on the long-term goal that's ultimately going to get you the better reward. EFT helps you accomplish this by tapping on different acupressure points of the body and interrupting the short-term signal that's giving you the craving. Because that neurological signal is getting disrupted, it doesn't have the same power over you and you can more easily overcome it. And when I say more easily overcome it, I mean you can almost obliterate the craving within 60 seconds. Let's get into the technique. Remember, you don't have to totally understand how it works in order for you to get the full effects of the technique, just like you don't need to know how your car operates in order for you to drive it. You just need to have the instructions, give it a try, and see how it works for you. Step number one is to rate the craving. Let's say that I'm having a craving for chocolate. Okay, let me give you a real one. Let's say that I'm having a craving for Reese's peanut butter cups, which have been in the past a really, really strong craving for me. Personally, I like the miniature ones because the chocolate to peanut butter ratio is just right. Am I right? When that craving hits me, the first thing I want to do is rate it on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being it's absolutely uncontrollable, I'm about to go face first into the food. Where am I? And what I want to do is think about the food until I can get that craving listed at a 7, an 8, or a 9. I want it quite high. I want to be able to smell the food, taste the food, think about the food, have a physical reaction. Maybe my stomach growls, maybe my mouth starts to salivate. I want my body to be in a position where it wants to experience that food. At that point, the first step is to go after what's called the karate chop point, which is right here on the pinky side of your hand, like a karate chop, and you're going to tap right there. While you're tapping there, which is an acupressure point, you are going to say, even though I have a craving for blank, I totally love and accept myself. We say that we love and accept ourselves so that our brain recognizes that it's okay to have this craving. It's not a bad thing. It's not a negative thing. We just want to dissipate it. So let's begin. Even though I have a craving for Reese's miniatures, I totally love and accept myself. During the course of that sentence, I might tap the back of my hand somewhere between 15 to 20 times. I'm also going to use the opening statement 2 or 3 times before I move into the EFT sequence. Even though I have a really strong craving for Reese's miniatures, I totally love and accept myself. Even though I have a really strong craving for Hershey's miniatures, I totally love and accept myself. Even though I totally have this huge craving for Reese's miniatures, I completely love and accept myself. Once I've made that initial statement 2 or 3 times, I'm going to go through the sequence. Let me show you the sequence first, and then we'll actually do it. Using the same tapping motion that I did with the initial statement, the first point of contact will be over the eyebrow, close to the center of the face, on the side of the face at the temple, right underneath the eye, close to the nose, the cupid's bow between the nose and the top of the mouth, on the chin, the collarbone right here. So I'll use my hand like this. Each tap is about 7 to 10 times as I go through each sequence, underneath the arm. And then the last sequence will be the top of the head. So again, above the eyebrow, close to the center of the face, temple, under the eye, cupid's bow, chin, clavicle or collarbone, under the arm, top of the head. Every time that I go to a different part of the sequence, I'm going to say something similar about the type of food that I'm craving. I'm going to try to think about it. I'm going to try to imagine eating it. I'm going to try to imagine what it smells like. Everything I can do to keep the craving high while I diffuse the signal by going through the different acupressure points. Even though I'm totally craving that chocolate, I have a huge craving for those Hershey's miniatures. I can totally taste that chocolate. Even though I really want to eat that chocolate. Even though I know those Reese's miniatures taste amazing. Even though I'm super stressed and I really just want to eat that chocolate. Even though I really want to eat that chocolate. Even though I really want to eat those Reese's miniatures. And then I'm going to take a deep breath. Once I've done that, I'm going to rate the craving again. If the craving was a 7, 8, or 9, I want to see where it is now compared to where it was before the sequence. So I'm going to come up with a food and think of a food that I could really, really eat right now, and I'm going to go through the whole sequence from start to finish. Okay, I've got one. Another food that I really, really like are corn nuts, or those big Inca corns, mainly because they're very, very salty and they're very, very crunchy. The problem is they drive my weight up like crazy. Now that I've thought about it and I've thought about eating them and they're right up the street, I could easily buy them. My craving is now at about an 8. Start with a karate chop point. Even though I'm totally craving those big corn nuts, I completely love and accept myself. Even though I have a total craving for those corn nuts, I totally love and accept myself. Even though I have a huge craving right now for those corn nuts, I totally love and accept myself. Even though I can taste those corn nuts right now, even though I really want to eat those corn nuts, even though I really want to eat those corn nuts right now, I can taste how crunchy and wonderful they are. Even though I really want to eat those corn nuts, even though I really want to eat those corn nuts, Even though I really want those salty, crunchy corn nuts. Even though I can taste those corn nuts right now. And I rate the craving. I really don't have it. It's maybe a 1 or a 2. And the good news is this can save you from giving into those cravings. And the more often you do it, you will notice that as that pattern gets disrupted, your craving for those specific foods will dissipate more and more and more and more until you no longer have them. All right, you guys, that is all I have for you in this video today. Before I go, I want to give a very special Kaleidoscope call out to my girl, Laura. Laura has actually lost 130 pounds plus on my program and completely gotten rid of all of her asthma symptoms. Again, if you want to make sure that you get all the deets on how you can get to your goal weight and stay there eating up to 3,000 calories a day, you got to do a few things for me, Butterfly. First thing, make sure you're subscribing to the channel and hit that notification bell so that you always get told whenever I upload a new video. Also, if you try the EFT technique or if you have any questions or comments about it, please make sure that you say something in the comment section below. I will do my best to get an answer back to you. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys in the next video, Butterflies. Bye-bye.